In this video, I want to talk about doing formatting. And formatting is really where you can enhance it with color, with borders. You kind of like just make it look easier to read, kind of inviting. Uh, Color printers are inexpensive now, so incorporating some color would be great. The problem is you can overdo it. Now, my recommendation is, and again, it's a rule of thumb, try to keep some of the formatting. Um, Number one is a minimum. I mean, you don't need to overdo it. But number two, try to keep the formatting at the end after you get everything created. Now, in this instance, we did widen the columns just so we could see things. But beyond that, we can do kind of that kind of formatting after we get everything working right. So one thing we can do is create a heading. So I'm going to click and I'm going to select A1 through H1. And what I want is the title, Somewhere Oil and Gas Company. I want that centered across these cells. If I just hit the center button over here in the alignment group, it's going to center it within that cell. Well, that doesn't really help me. I want it to be centered across. And there are a couple ways you can do that. One way is if you click on the little more button here on alignment. You'll see it says right here alignment. And then right over here is a little icon in the lower right-hand corner. This brings up a dialog box. And in this instance, we have alignment. And under horizontal, I can go and tell it to center across selection. So as far as, I'm going to click that. I'm going to click OK. As far as Excel is concerned, this text, Somewhere Oil and Gas Company, does reside in cell A1. But another way, I'm going to put this back to a left align, and this is what I like to use, is the merge feature. So again, in the alignment group, you'll have this little icon, and notice it's a two-parter. So if I were to click the icon itself, it's going to merge in the center, which is what you normally do. But just let's look at the options under the arrow here. And this allows us to merge and center. We can merge across, we can merge cells, we can unmerge cells. So if you merge something and you don't want it merged anymore, you can unmerge it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to simply do a merge and center. And what that does is it creates one cell now. So B1 through H1 now are no longer existing on this particular worksheet. And we have the text there. So now I want to format this text, and there's a couple of ways that we can do that. Number one, we can go up here and we can bold it. We can change the font. There's tons of fonts in Excel to work with. We can change the font size. So that's one way we can do it, and we'll do that a lot. Another way is to use styles. So in the styles group, there is a cell style, and if I click that, these are styles that have already been set up, formats that have already been set up that you can use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use heading 1, and you'll see that it changes the font size, and it changes the color of the line, which you may not see. Let me just select somewhere else. There's a little dark blue line here. Now at this point, let's say, hey, I don't think that's big enough. No biggie. Well, then I can go up here and I can make it larger. I can make it as large as I want, maybe not that big, or as small as I want. Let's say that I now want to add some color to the back. Well, under the font group, we have two options for color. The little paint can will allow you to do a fill, and the little A allows you to change the color of the font. Notice these both have multiple options. For example, if I were just to click on this bucket right now, notice the current color is yellow. Well, that's a little bit obnoxious. We have more colors than that. So we can click the down arrow, and we have all these various colors. So let's say I choose this light green. Now, if you hover over a color, let me see if I can hover over one. You'll see that it's actually named. Now my mouse is kind of in the way, but the name is dark green, comma, accent 3, comma, lighter 40%. If I go over here to this last one, this is green, accent 6, lighter 40%. And as I go up, the lighter changes to darker or lighter depending on where you're going. So as you do your homework, they'll tell you what color to use. So I'm going to use kind of a dark green. Now it's not to make it very easy to read this, especially if you're printing it out on a laser printer that's just black and white. So now I'm going to go over here to the font color, and I'm going to choose a font that will go, or a color that'll go with it. Obviously, I don't want to do a dark green because it's not going to make sense to do that. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to just choose white. So now if I click outside of it, you'll see that it's a dark green background with white text. So that just is an option for you if you want to use that. I think I'm going to make the background a little lighter, and I'm going to make my text, I'm going to bring that back to black. So you want to be aware of the colors you choose. On a color printer, it works great, but if you have a laser printer that's just black and white, it'll give you a shade, and you may not be able to see the difference between the two. Something else we can do is this little input section. I want to kind of like emphasize it a little bit. So I'm going to go up to the cell styles, and I'm going to make it input. You'll notice that it gives you, deselect out here, some color, and it also gives you borders. A7 through H7. Going to go to cell styles again, and this time, let's see, maybe, and part of it is just to, oops, I clicked when I didn't really want to. Part of it is to just give you a trial and error to see what you like. Notice you also have fills. Now you can't combine the two, so if I wanted, well, actually it looks like I could, oh, because I've already applied it. See, so if I click heading 4, for instance, notice it takes away the bar. Oh no, actually it's still here. I don't know why that's still there. So we'll make it heading 2. And now if I go back to cell styles, I could then make it colored. We'll make it kind of a light green. And note, maybe my text could be a little bit bolder. I think it's already bold. There we go, bold. And maybe we'll make it just a touch bigger. So these are some options you have for changing your color. I don't know if they all work very well, but at least we can do that. But let's say that this text right down here, I want to have that kind of be an emphasis on its own. I don't really want to have any colors to it. I just want to have a thick border around it. So then there's a border option here. And again, it's a 2-part. If I just click this one, it's going to give me a bottom border, meaning it's just going to put a border at the very bottom. So I'm going to click that, and you'll see that it just puts it below minimum. But I want to have a border all the way around. So I'm going to go over to the little down arrow, and you'll see that I have all sorts of options. All borders give you everything. All I really want is a thick outside border. And then again, just select outside. You can see how these numbers have now been, these cells have now been formatted. Now, I mentioned that some of what we just did right now uses cell styles. If I go to the page layout tab, and all the way over on the right-hand side, or excuse me, the left-hand side, are themes. And if I just click that icon, these are themes that come with Excel. And if you kind of like hover over them, you can see how everything's changing in the background. The fonts are changing, the colors are changing, the palettes are changing. So by default, it's Office. I think it's Office 20. Yeah, it's Office 20. You can see that this is for compatibility with older versions. If you like a different color, let's say Celestial. So if I click on that, and let's go back to Home, and we'll just click on an icon, you'll notice that this palette has changed. You'll remember there was lots of greens. Now we have kind of a fall kind of a color. So if we go back over here to layout, and let's say we change to, we'll do Vapor Trail. Let me go back to Home, and you will see that the palettes have changed yet again. So anything that you have applied using this top set of colors will now change. If you use the standard colors, these are the original colors or compatibly with the old versions of Excel and any Microsoft Office product, these would remain. So I can then override it. And again, I can go over and ride this one. Let's say I like this color. So by working with the themes, you can create a standard. Now the thing to remember though is this affects everything, every worksheet that you have. So it affects the entire worksheet. So that's a little bit about formatting.